Hey, ChroNoSo on YouTube and on the podcast. This is our portion of the show where we kind of simulcast, and we're coming up to the real main event of SummerSlam 1990, the Earthquake versus Hulk Hogan. And joining me today is comedian extraordinaire Mike Lawrence, big fan of John Tenta, the Tenta expert, long fan of Place to Be Nation and the North-South Connection. Glad to have you here, Mike. Thanks for coming in and joining us.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, my other podcast, 10 out of 10, still hasn't gone off the ground, but yeah, I'm always happy to talk about this big, fat, balding, bearded, beautiful man, who I will probably look like in 5 years, but I will be 47, and the fact that he had just turned 27 when he's having this match will never not be insane to everybody.
No, I think the first time anyone finds out that he's in his 20s for this, it blows everyone's mind. So we've watched through ChroNoSo. We've talked about the whole build to this epic match. Hogan getting squashed on Brother Love, and you told me you checked back in on that today. Mike, what are your thoughts on that? Let's be honest, deserved squashing of Hulk Hogan on the Brother Love show.
Well, it's less enjoyable when you know it's just happening so he can make Suburban Commando.
I mean, I don't know if Suburban Commando Blasphemy will get very far here in this audience, Mike.
Yeah, well, what are they going to do? Go watch Suburban Commando again?
That'll teach them.
Yeah, that'll teach them. I mean, how bad was Undertaker as an actor that, like, he has 2 lines and he's like, yeah, I can't do this. I mean, sorry, I can't do this.
Yeah, they give him I mean, doesn't Hogan make up lies that, like, he discovered him and, like, that's how he got into the business with that movie, even though he like already been in WCW for a couple of years, and one of the many lies.
Yeah, really, he lies? No. No, it's and he lies in this segment, lies down while Quake gives him a few splashes, and it's awesome. I mean, I have I used to host a show, Wrestle Roast, and my best friend Dan St. Germain, who was co-host on that show, he thinks that the Earthquake Splash is a terrible finisher. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Dan's never had a fat guy jump on him.
Well, Dan can't jump on Dan. That's the problem.
You have to break the mortal plane.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that everybody was doing that, that belly splash. Like, even Ultimate Warrior, I mean, that's its own thing. But the fact that he's your champion at this time and he's doing it, Tugboat's doing it, that this dude did it differently. And I've watched enough Earthquake that I could always see when the guy is doing a little bit of a sit-up so that they can brace for the impact.
Yeah.
But it still looks awesome. And from everything I've ever heard about Tenta, he didn't hurt anybody.
Yeah, you never heard a bad word about him as in the ring or out of it.
Yeah, Bret Hart likes him, so that says something.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
he don't like anybody.
He likes himself and Tenta.
The only way you could find out what he thinks about Tenta is, I think Tenta's a little better than you. Well, that fat bastard, he's terrible, But no, it's amazing that segment, because this is the thing about Earthquake is he is one of my favorites. I absolutely love him, and I'm able to enjoy him without remembering Dino Bravo ever.
That is a nice skill. That is,
and not even and look, we kind of know that Jimmy Hart kind of sucks a bit now too, just by association. But even him, like, I don't think Quake needed a manager. That was just the style at the time. But Quake was like intimidating on his own, and he could cut a promo. And because you watch most Quake promos, Jimmy's not doing that much talking.
No, it's mostly Quake bouncing back and forth,
which is the best.
Yeah, I mean, we're warming up. And honestly, a man of that size bouncing back and forth and not being winded through a promo, that's an underrated skill. Yeah. I don't think either of us can do that.
No, when your world champion is running to the ring and then out of breath for the match, it's yeah, the running back and forth like sells it to me because you are like right, like is he a actual earthquake? Is he a person who just likes earthquakes? You never fully know. Like, and I know when he debuted,
Yeah, for a minute you knew he was Canadian.
well, it was the Canadian earthquake, but no, but even before that, he had a dark match with. I think it might have been Roma or somebody, but he was Earthquake Evans.
Ah.
And I mean, also, right, one of the best debuts ever.
Yeah, I did that segment for earlier in ChroNoSo, where he's John from West Virginia. And, he just looks like he's, works at an auto parts store and he's ready to just, me.
And I love that he's by himself.
Yeah, middle-aged man goes to the rest of the shows.
I mean, look, there are still balding, fat, bearded guys going to wrestling alone. They just don't look like this. But it's what's amazing about that is you could never do that today because somebody would be like, actually, I saw him in New Japan. He was teaming with Giant Baba, and it would just ugh. But like that you're able to like just that crowd. I mean, they picked the dumbest state there is, but that crowd fell for it, and it's awesome. Like and like you have an attachment to him initially because the entrance was so awesome. The introduction was so awesome. And that's 89, and he's starting off with Warrior, and then he goes on to Hogan. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I think he was booked perfectly at this time. Him squashing Hercules was like a smart move. And then you have this. We had seen the big fat heels before. But I don't know. There was something different about him.
Yeah, like it's very similar to the feud with Bundy with Hogan for 2. Big guy comes, squishes Hogan for a bit.
The ribs,
but this felt different. Maybe it was because he was out longer. The letter writing campaign, the video where they slow down Real American, and that
dude, I watched that today. That is incredible.
It's so good.
Well, what's different is time, right? Like that's 86 and this is 90. And Hogan, obviously was over then and a big deal. I'm not arguing that, but this is post WrestleMania 3. This is post Savage. Like it's just he is the company at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's leading the company then, but the company at that time, like, right, they thought they were big enough that they could do 3 shows at once. That's it. I mean, there was an arrogance there, but at this time, Hogan is nostalgia, and I don't think he was then because he was in his run and in his initial championship run, and here we're like, he's already the stalwart that he's been there for a long time. He's the linchpin of the company.
Yeah.
And so it's a much different thing. And that idea of him being taken out now. I mean, look, like this whole feud is interesting because they really did, they tried to get Tugboat over. They and then that clearly what are you gonna say?
Oh, did you see any Tugboat write letters promos when you rewatch today?
Yeah,
like,
and the brilliant
he just comes across like the biggest doofus, like a giant child, like, oh, I don't know. We're reading the letters and I don't know.
I mean, he's definitely a man who thinks he's a boat. Although he might be a boat that thinks he's a man. It's that gimmick is weird, but even he was Tugboat Thomas at first. So both these 2 guys are like that. We definitely oh, it's the best. And obviously having just seen the Hall of Fame, look, there were much longer, more sentimental speeches throughout the Hall of Fame, but the genuine love that Uncle Fred had for John in that 3 minutes was like really beautiful. Like God, I watched it like in the middle of the night and was crying.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it might be the Natural Disasters. I mean, go a little off topic. Might be the nicest dudes to ever be tag team champions.
Yeah, and because what you don't hear about those guys too, which you hear about a lot of, like, especially bigger dudes, they seem like they were nice to jobbers,
Yeah.
and that's crazy because
Yeah.
all the big guys, right? Vader and Yoko and Mabel by accident, but like those guys, you saw your name on the card. Oh fuck, like you're gonna fight them. But
Yeah.
these guys, they just seem like they're gonna take care of you. You ever see like that? There's like that amazing picture of like the two of them. I think it's like in Disney, and they're both holding their little kids.
No, I've never seen that.
Oh yeah, they're just teddy bears.
Yeah.
Who, in John's case especially, could fuck you up.
Oh yeah, legit sumo wrestler. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, in a dude that size, it takes effort to not hurt someone, especially in a jobber match when you're just smashing them. Like,
yeah,
it's harder for them to not hurt you.
yeah. And he was amateur too. He was a football player. He was a collegiate wrestler, and then a sumo wrestler who was undefeated. Like, it's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, look, we saw Bam Bam in the UFC, and that didn't go well for him. Or if not the UFC, a similar thing, but Koji Kitao, Tony Halme, we saw like a lot of pro wrestlers in the 90s. And I think Tenta, I think eventually the sport would have figured him out, but I think he could have been pretty dominant for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to take him off that center of gravity, and he has experience in it, so
Yeah.
it'd be pretty rough to do.
I know we're jumping all over the place.
No,
yeah, but it's amazing that this whole storyline. Okay, two things work about it. One, the Warrior is not as over as they want him to be.
No,
right?
It's not going well.
And Warrior's what got me into wrestling. I was a Warrior mark, and it's you watch now, and obviously knowing who the guy was under the face paint. Yikes!
Yeah, it's kind of WrestleMania 6 kind of pick your poison of human beings, but
it is a great moment, and they just didn't know what to do with it. And like you said, like, I mean, obviously, I think because of the finish of this match, I wouldn't have put it last, but it does feel like this is what people are there for.
Yeah,
this is what people care about. Oh yeah, the thing that Pritchard said on his podcast, I think, was every letter they put into their mailing system.
Yeah, it was genius.
Yeah,
they got my address from it. I wrote.
You did. Okay, you wrote, because I was wondering who wrote.
I did. I mean, I was 8, almost 9, and that's, oh my God, Hulk Hogan needs me. It's my turn to pay him back.
How flooded were you with
it would be
with mail from them by that?
Not a lot. The unless my parents were hiding it from me, so I wouldn't ask to buy stuff, But the catalogs, and I was already subscribed to the magazine anyhow, because that's amazing, and I wish I had all those still.
Now the writing the letters, like at that point, like did you know like, all right, I think this is fake, but Hogan is really hurt, like, or were you?
I was figuring it out. Like, I was told, like, there's like stuff's decided. Like, my dad fed me a bunch of stuff about like it being not real, but it was all wrong. Like that they had to pay the losers more because they had to lose. And, so like in my head, like the Brooklyn Brawler was like a billionaire, so I mean, I had an idea, but I don't know. You're just caught up in it, especially at that age. I mean,
the only millions he had was Pat Patterson's sperm.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, I mean, I was in.
You ever seen? I did a roast of Bruce Pritchard,
mm-hmm.
and the joke that got the biggest pop of the night was Pat Patterson was there, and I was like, "You shoved your dick down so many people's throats they should rename it Roman Reigns." And this was in 2018, so the perfect time to say that joke.
Yeah,
and it got like it was amazing. It got the biggest pop of the night.
I popped me just now. I mean,
yeah.
and I'm just alone in my basement. Like
Yeah.
probably most of the people who watch that podcast through StarCast also alone in their basement.
Yeah.
But
and some of them who run it can't get out of their basement unless they're buttered through a door. But enough about that fat heel. No, no, I've only had good experiences with Conrad. But
God.
you know, I didn't buy a house from him. So this whole thing, that's amazing that you wrote. I didn't. I was told immediately. I had a brother 3 years older who just loved ruining things. So, you know, Santa wasn't real. We were Jewish. We killed Jesus, and wrestling is fake. But it was still well done. I had never seen that. Was it when was that the sentimental Hogan promo?
You of the video? It was let's see, like early July.
Yeah.
And then late July, early August, that's when they're doing, oh, he has an announcement for his career, you know, and no one knows what it's going to be. And it starts solemn and it builds and builds and zooms in, and Hogan gets more and more fired up that he's back and he's going to get revenge and he's going to have the Tugster in his corner, brother. And which is, of course, where you want your Tugster, in the corner. Yeah. Best place for him. And you know, then it's like it's set for SummerSlam, and you're like, yeah, I'm over these Rick Rude training promos. I'm over. Oh, there's a third demolition. Who cares? It's Quake and Hogan.
Yeah, and it's, you know, what's fascinating is that promo. Like I said, I'd never seen it, and it is. I think someone in the YouTube comments, every once in a while there's a useful one, but they're like, this was 5 minutes of Terry and then 1 minute of Hogan. And it is like, I don't ever remember seeing a promo like this from him.
No,
where he's this solemn. I mean, it is his regular speaking voice.
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah, even though he doesn't do that now when he is supposed to be himself.
No, he doesn't. He's lost. That might honestly, that promo before the Quake might be the last time anyone saw Terry Bollea.
Yeah, it got squashed out of him. It was his integrity was carried out on a stretcher.
Yes,
absorbed by a love sponge.
Oh Jesus! Well, yeah, I miss his love sponge, I guess.
Yeah, both. He watched.
Oh yuck! But before we get like into the match, Mike, I know what made me think to invite you on for this was your work with John Tenta's Dark Side of the Ring, or I guess the one episode of Bright Side of the Ring.
Well, it wasn't very good. So you want me to tell you how I was involved in all that?
Yeah,
stuff?
It's such a good story. I enjoy it.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I did StarCast. I did the first two. And you know, the first year I did the roast. And then the second year, Ric Flair was supposed to be there. And we were supposed to roast Ric Flair. And 2 days before, either he was sick or enough stewardesses protested his flight. I went to Vegas anyway, and I did this show with Ron Funches and X-Pac, where we watch old clips of wrestling. It's like Mystery Science, and you know, we riff on the wrestling. And Matthew from Botchamania, so that was cool. There was the four of us. And I think Matthew had been like, he was on mushrooms for the first time. So he was kind of out of it. Like I was the only one not smoking, you know, but Funches is funny when he's high. And so it's like,
that's kind of where he operates.
Yeah. We kind of carried it, but the scariest thing about that show was Scott Hall was behind me the entire time. And I was so afraid of pissing him off.
Say something that'll get on his bad side and then just chop the back of your head. Slap.
Well, have you seen that clip of him at, I forgot whose roast it was. I don't know if it was Bill Apter's roast, or it might have been a Cornette roast or something, but there's this comedian and he does an Owen joke. And you know, which as a rule, especially after that, I never do those when I'm roasting wrestlers.
Yeah, people who know him. Yeah, his friends. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I remember I did the roast of Iron Sheik, And I had a joke. I was like, "You've done things to the English language that only Chris Benoit has done to his family." And Chavo was on the roast.
Oh,
And afterwards, they're like, "He's really mad at you, but he's not going to do anything. But he's mad at you." So like, I'm scared with Hall and all that, but it went well. And Evan Husney was there, the co-creator and producer of Dark Side, and we just hung out for like 2 hours, talk about old wrestling and comic books. He's like a big comic book collector, and so am I. He visited me once out here and showed me Brawl for All before they
like the
released
rough
it,
cut.
like, which was awesome because he knows the type of stuff that I like. But I gave him a pitch for Earthquake, and I'm a TV writer, comedian by trade is what I do for a living, and so I know how to pitch. And I pitched the hell out of this Earthquake episode, that which he has said. So I'm not bragging.
Yeah.
He was like, "You sold me on that shit," because I was like, "It's so much sadder if you lose someone you like." There the amount of dark sides that are just a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think one of the worst ones last year, just in terms of how you feel after it, was Matt Bourne.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
He was, yeah, and and you're like, "Oh, doink," and it was like, but he was just a terrible person. Yeah, the Tony Halmy one this year, the Ludwig Borga.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just awful the whole time, and like almost when they pass, it's like, well, at least no, they're not hurting people anymore.
Yeah, when both wives are happy, like ex-wives, I should say, like, yeah, he deserved to die, and I'm glad he did, and I only didn't murder him because of the law.
Yeah.
But this Earthquake one, and I had wanted to make an Earthquake movie for years, because I think it's just the most interesting story. But I mean, it's kind of weird to do like a story of white excellence in 2025. But to me, it's basically, a sports version of Lost in Translation. This guy that comes to Japan and he doesn't know anybody, and the fact that the way that he met his wife, Josephine, that she was like a singer in a lounge that he would go to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the guy who looks like he's 45 is somehow able to pull off the stage singer, because that's his charisma.
Yeah, well, he was, at this point, he'd only looked 36.
Well.
Like, if you look at, there's like a video on YouTube of him talking about why he left sumo, and it's like a Canadian thing. He's like 24 in that, or maybe 23, and he looks like Brian from The Office, like in the first season, and then, but I was telling Evan, I was like, it's this like foreign love story. It's a person giving up their dream, and finding a better dream. And for a few years, even at that point, his son, his youngest son, had been posting like different like family photos and stuff of him. And it's like, you don't see that a lot.
No.
And wait, this guy was a great dad.
Yeah.
A lot of these wrestlers are not.
No.
And that he was like so beloved by his family just really made him interesting to me. And I was like, this is different. I was like, you need a palate cleanser, because we see so many of these, like I said, just bummers, like people you don't like, that show makes you hate. And it's really well done. Like, I mean, the Tony Atlas one this season, I really liked it. Like the guy is poor still, but he's like taking care of his wife and they love each other. He had to learn to be completely broke to realize what he loved in life. And I'm like, that's kind of sweet.
Yeah.
A relatively happy ending. And so, seeing that with Quake, and I just really was like, I was like, I think you should do this one. I was like, I was like, I bet it takes its toll on you to do the Benoits and the Owens. And I mean, those stories deserve to be told again. I did tell him, I was like, we did not need Montreal, let alone in the first season. It was not that sad of a story.
No, there's no new discoveries in that.
Yeah, and that it's like, if you said I don't want to lose them in Calgary, okay, but the whole country of Canada, shut up and do your job.
Yeah, it's a little much.
But this Tenta thing, it was just one of those things, like, and that he, I grew up in the, he was always my guy in WrestleFest. I always picked him. He's
Great.
a Hasbro era guy. I think this pay-per-view more than anything really highlights the Hasbro era.
Yes, the whole build, the superstars that keep showing people in the crowd holding their toy. Gorilla would be tossing out Heenan's family members, cutting back during prime time. Like, it was everywhere.
Yeah, these like a lot of the looks of the wrestlers on this show, and I've seen the show a bunch, and I watched a little bit more of it today. This is what you remember.
Yeah, the capsule of the mind.
Yeah, the bright colors and Dusty with his Sapphire. Which, do you watch White Lotus?
I have not.
Okay, well, the Sapphire story in that is very similar to a main White Lotus plot in season 3, and I'm wondering if Mike White is a fan.
Oh, I don't know if I'll ever be able to watch it now and not think about if I ever do.
To everyone who's listening, Sapphire is Belinda. But but yeah, this was Wrestle Buddy era.
Yeah,
I went to Royal Rumble in '91, that was the first pay-per-view, first wrestling show I went to, and man, what a bummer, because Ultimate Warrior was my guy at the time, and he lost. And then Earthquake was my other guy, and he got thrown out at the end.
Did you cry on the way home? Did you need consoling?
No, because I knew it was fake. Which actually made it worse. I'm like, they chose to
upset you. It was personal, Mike.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing.
So we've talked all this stuff with here, what the great man Tenta is. Let's talk about this great match.
Yeah.
The crowd is electric as he comes out. But one thing I do want to ask you for Earthquake's entrance, Piper says he looks like a warthog or a mutant rat. Which camp are you in?
Piper's kids are really into Ninja Turtles. That's what this says. The movie came out in March. You got Bebop and Splinter. That's just in his head. I think the best one he does in Survivor Series 90, he calls him Baby Huey. He's supposed to be this threatening hero, and he goes, "Look at Baby Huey." I mean, I'm not a star rating person. I'm not that kind of autistic. Sorry, Meltzer. But I will say, if I was rating, this loses at least half a star for it being Vince and Piper and not either Gorilla and Jesse or, Gorilla and Heenan. Even Shivani and Jesse around this time this is the worst combo of, they're just not good.
No, it's a lot of yelling. It's a lot of not really paying attention to what's going on.
And Piper's very inconsistent because he's like, it feels like he's cheering Hogan for a good amount of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he doesn't stick to like a heel character, which is what made Heenan and Ventura work.
Right.
It's like, if you're going to do that, you have to really do that. And there's like logic and principles to that. And it felt like this at the end, he was mad that Earthquake didn't even get pinned or whatever.
Yeah. He's all over the map. I mean, Ventura had left. His last Superstars was the week before.
Okay.
So I give him a little pass for like, we're scrambling here. I mean, they could have scrambled better. They had options.
And Shivani was gone at this point.
Shivani's gone. Ventura's gone.
Okay.
And Heenan had guys. So maybe you do Vince and Gorilla, but I don't know. Like,
but that's two play-by-plays.
They didn't have a ton of options. Lord Al sometimes did some of the color during like MSGs, and those are awful.
Yeah.
So Piper's no good, but like they were grasping at straws here. I'm sure.
Okay, that makes it feel a little better, but I do think that this whole thing would have been just a bit better.
Oh yeah,
just in terms of like the warm glass of chocolate milk of old wrestling.
Right.
That's a part of it. Like, there are, I could watch like a WrestleMania 7 or a 6 because I know I'm in good hands with just hearing those guys makes me feel happy.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Like, you could listen to, there's reading off the phone book but with their emoting, you would be like, I enjoy this.
Yeah, and their jokes, and
Yeah.
like Heenan was genuinely funny.
Yes.
And I mean, do you go Ventura or Heenan?
For calling a match, Ventura. If it's like a pay-per-view, give me Ventura. If it's Superstars, Challenge, Prime Time, we're doing squash matches, give me Heenan and his shenanigans.
Okay.
Well, I mean, obviously they both do good at both, but if I had to pick, and I guess I'm not really picking, I'm being half pregnant here. Where did you go? Where do you go?
I think I go. If I had to pick one or the other, I think I'd go Ventura. I think like he just perfected that character, and I think Heenan did a really good job of it. But like the heel commentator, as we know it, unless I'm wrong, and there's some territory where someone did it first, I feel like
no, yeah, he's the king dingling of the heel commentator, and like I said, pay-per-view. So this, ideally this match, I would want Ventura.
Yeah. And the match itself, it's interesting. Was the tugboat thing that they had lost faith in him?
Apparently, from what I've heard, like Hogan had to go do some reshoots and promos for Suburban Commando, so he was going to be off the road for a bit, and they didn't think Tugboat versus Earthquake was going to sell, so they wanted Boss Man, who had a whole feud with DiBiase. It's thrown out right before SummerSlam. He gets made randomly the special guest ref for the Jake Bad News, and then thrown into here when he saves Tugboat the week before. And then how about Boss Man cheating the entire match?
Yeah.
He starts just hitting Earthquake when Earthquake hadn't touched him. Bravo hadn't touched Hogan. Hart hadn't touched Hogan. Boss Man comes over and just starts waylaying him. And Hebner just lets it go. They come in double big boot. I'm like, this is Law and Order? I feel like it's not. I feel like,
and I grew up in Florida, but knowing what Hogan has become and seeing the rebel flag on Boss Man's shirt makes it a little worse for me now.
Yeah, I mean,
knowing that there's a guy that truly believes in that stuff standing next to him, and he's supposed to be the main babyface.
Right, and I mean, he gains advantage with an eye rake. Like Hogan is cheating the entire time.
Oh, he always has. I mean, I remember when he did like the RNC, and I was like, I knew he was bad the day that he pulled Sid Vicious out of the Sid Justice out of the the Rumble when he was already eliminated.
Yeah, sore loser. You knew
he's
that.
Always, he's always been a crybaby. Just the character. It's weird. It's funny when you look back at like a lot of this stuff, and the heel's kind of an asshole. You have to remember, like, oh yeah, this is all booked by an asshole.
That's true. That's
like
true.
This is how Vince thinks good people act.
Yeah, he has no idea how good people act.
Yeah.
I mean, and so the match is going along. There's lots of
And Boss Man. I just want to say, Boss Man gets his own entrance too, which is crazy.
But thankfully, Dino Bravo did not.
Yes.
Luckily, he came out with Quake.
The Quake music
is great. I was sitting there thinking that because it's the background of the promo that Hogan's cutting before. It's just in the background the whole time, and it's just building and building and building. It's perfect.
It just, I don't know, man. It works. It's effective in the same way Diesel's is, but it's not a good song. Like that's the problem to me.
Well, yeah, you never jammed to Quake's music. We wouldn't put it on a playlist ever. It's not. Yeah. But in the moment, it's great. Like the Hogan's promo.
It fits,
yeah. This big force is waiting for him in the ring as the promo goes on, which I found where he said that he's George Washington and he also can never tell a lie, which is pretty rich.
When he compares himself to Thomas Jefferson, I'm like, yeah, he was a little more open to who he loved.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's true. I mean, he did have the Confederate flag there going, so that kind of fits.
The other thing with Earthquake, 468, I never buy it. I always feel like he's 425, maybe 425 tops, probably closer to 400. I never buy him as that level. When I think close to, anything over like 450 to me is Yokozuna.
Yeah. I mean, It's
is Andre maybe.
yeah,
Like,
their weight estimates are all. I mean, Vince even brings it up in the match. He's like, "Oh, they announced Hogan at 290." I'm like, and he's like, he looks to be about 278. Like, who
yeah.
specifically says, "Oh, he's about 278" just by looking at him?
Well,
Like
this
that's
isn't the Zahorian trial. This is when Zahorian's handing the shit out.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's probably, but Quake is bigger than you think he is, like height wise. Like he is right up there
Yeah.
with Hogan. He's a big dude.
He's a big
And
dude, but I just never buy him as that heavy, just to me. And maybe that's part of like how, nimble he can be.
well, I mean, his legs, they're not fat.
No.
Those are huge muscle legs. Like that's a
Yeah.
lot of the weight right there.
Yeah.
And the mullet has to weigh what, 10 to 15 pounds.
And then the boss man catch in this is unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, I think my favorite part of the match though is when Hogan goes for a crossbody for the first time in his life.
Yeah.
And Tenta catches him and then squashes him. Like, I mean, that was my favorite moment of the match. It definitely wasn't when he kicks out of 2 straight Quake splashes after 3 almost killed him.
I know. Yeah, but he's got the roar of the crowd.
After the slam and he just barely gets the shoulder up, like that's the kind of kickouts I like. But then they squishes him like that, and then he just like, whoa! And it's just a countdown to the end. I almost wish they wouldn't have done 2. Like, I get you kick out of the finisher, but after that's like, oh, they killed the squish.
I wish they didn't do him body slamming him.
You wish they would have saved Hogan not body slamming Tenta?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the whole thing of this is clearly right to sell a house show. That, well, I don't think their feud is over and all of that.
Yeah.
And it's like you already saw the thing. And then I did watch Survivor Series 90 after this, which by the way, Quake still has those welts. It's crazy.
Yeah, why is he hitting them with a step ladder?
Yeah.
Why? They keep calling it a chair. That is clearly a step ladder.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
No, and it's ripping him up. I'm like, and they're just wailing him with it.
Yeah, that was, and especially in that era to see like someone bleeding from the back.
Yeah, it's John Tetanus.
There you go. Yeah, what I do isn't that special.
No, like you're very good at it. I did open mics maybe 15 years ago. Writing comedy, I have nothing but respect for it. It's amazing. One pun that I thought of 4 hours ago is not what you do.
Oh, you've thought of it 4 hours. I'm thinking off the cuff here, man. Never mind.
Yeah, I suck.
Yeah, as long as you're the Dino Bravo to my.
I'm as long as I don't get shot in the back of the head.
Well, don't sell cigarettes in Montreal. You'll be fine.
I don't think that'll come up.
He's never. I think he's getting his first action figure ever. I don't know if it's from like Zack Ryder's company or something, but there are these guys like Hercules is one of them. Dino Bravo is one of them. Where like they were in everything when you watch the shows, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you are watching everything chronologically, so you see these guys all the time. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting how some of them get pushed out of the marketing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I assume there's only so many, and like they're going to kids and they know parents aren't going to get them all. While now the figures now are for old OCD people like us with disposable income who are going to get a Dino Bravo. What kid asked their dad for Dino Bravo? Not even Dino Bravo's kids.
Hercules, like I think what he was it 2 to 7 or 2 to 8? I think he was from WrestleMania's 2 to 8 or something.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. Ish, he was around for a long time.
But I know he had the one LJN, but he never had much merch. It's crazy to me because that guy everywhere. And I remember I hadn't watched the product in a good while, and some of it I remembered and some of it I didn't because I was a little kid. And then I watched the WrestleManias in chronological order, and I was like, who the hell is Hercules? And
I mean, he's not bad. Like, you don't think he's good for what he is, I think that's kind of almost everybody in this era is good for what they are. So
he's like the most successful jobber to the stars, it feels like.
we're Ryan put up there. He was around from November '85 to March '92,
and he's in all those manias.
Yeah, he's pretty for being bloated with full of steroids. He stays surprisingly healthy.
Right, Power and Glory, Sour and Gory. Yeah, I mean,
Power and Glory is we someone has covered that earlier in this episode and did a great job. It's this whole era is just nostalgia on 11.
I figure like the the last thing to talk about of this match, another guy I co-hosted the show with, Scott Chaplin, is big into work rate, right?
Oh yeah,
and we
New Japan.
He's a little bit, he's massive AEW. He's a little bit younger than the rest of us, and it's interesting showing him stuff like this because it's like, as a match, man, it's fine or whatever, but the whole thing works.
Yeah, it really does. Every note hits. It's like a symphony of steroids.
I don't think Tenta ever used.
No, but Bravo had enough for both.
Oh, yeah.
So, it still counts. And the joke was there. So yeah, you're right. It is hard. I can't do it.
And Boss Man, like that transformation, because when you see him in him and Akeem in '88, they do look like Bebop and Rocksteady.
Yeah,
and then how slimmed down he is even at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I've covered on ChroNoSo his face turn and how he's all for Law and Order, but honestly, he's not his character still isn't a good person. He's handcuffing jobbers and beating them in the ribs. At no point has he done anything a good guy would do. And I thought maybe this was the point, but no, he starts cheating and hitting Tenta with a stepladder. So we're still waiting for when that actually happens for Boss Man on our journey here.
Well, it was like the story with Nails. It's not, Nails wasn't lying, was he?
It feels like no. Especially when it comes
frame of just, the prisoner who's getting abused is the heel.
It is so backwards.
Yeah, but it's Vince.
Yep, that's true.
They were in jail for a reason. I'm like, well, hopefully you are too.
Yeah, we'll see how he likes it here in a bit, maybe. I'm not, because that dude's gonna get a pardon.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, it is fat. Like I said, like looking back on all this stuff, knowing what you know now, and just
that's why it's
every
fun to
time
look at.
like a face is a dick.
Yeah. It's like, oh boy, this is what I thought good guys were. Maybe I gotta look into my own soul and see, am I being a good guy or am I the bad guy?
And this program, I mean, I was seeing they did stretcher matches in January of '91, like February '91, I think.
It went a long time, like
straight up. I think it went till Mania.
Yeah, it did, because Hogan didn't do the house shows with Slaughter, I don't think, till after. So it was a long.
And it is like with Quake, it's like, this is his big hit. Like, where do you go from here? And I think he had a good, like a decent career after this, but there is no way but down.
No, this is the pinnacle. And because also what kind of hurt him is that we all thought he was so much older. So it's like, oh man, if he was 45 years old battling Hogan, now he's got to be 60, but he wasn't. It just, we had no idea.
And he'd only been around, like, I think his first match is in 86, 87. And then, he's in the company, I think, towards the end of 89. And, like, it's kind of insane.
No, the rocket booster his career is.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of it, most of it was the look and, that he could move. But, I mean, for people saying that, like, Hogan doesn't ever put anyone over, and look, he doesn't put him over in a traditional way. Like, he gave this young dude a shot and really let him run with it. And I mean, I think the being carried out and all that, even though we know the real reason why and all that, was massively putting him over.
Yes. Yeah. Tenta seems like the most destructive force in the world that summer. just crushing jobbers. And I mean, bringing an actual boat to tears, that's hard.
Yeah, they're already wet, so you can't tell what's the water and what's the tears.
But Mike, I appreciated you joining us for this. I know we went pretty long talk. We probably went triple the amount of the match. I just asked you out of the blue, cold asked you, and I know you plugged Wrestle Roasts or Total Marks, whatever. I listen to every
Nerd of Mouth is my current podcast.
Yes, and
so I got a new show.
That one real quick.
Yeah, it's me and my buddies, Jake Young and Holden. If you guys know the last podcast on the left, and they're like horror guys, but they have a whole network, and so we do like a nerd-based show where we talk about comic books, video games. I just did a wrestling episode, how to get into wrestling, and
is the show, could it be any nerdier than an hour talking about Earthquake versus Hulk Hogan from 1990? Because I think that'd be pretty hard to beat.
I explain who Jim Cornette, Paul Heyman, and Vince Russo are, two guys who don't really know them, and say that this is the way to get into wrestling. Finding people that you can sincerely like. I was like, you will either like Cornette or Heyman, and your hatred of Russo will get you through the down times. But to me, I truly believe like the way to get into wrestling. Like I said, I was into it as a kid and all that. I completely missed the Attitude Era. I was not into wrestling. I got back into it in 2002, and when I found, Scott Keith's blogs,
they got the F out and got Mike back in.
Yeah, and I can't believe the last thing we didn't mention about Quake, which I had to say before we go, Wrestle Crap.
Oh yeah, just being part of the internet community. And
yeah, he was telling people that he was dying on a site called Wrestle Crap, and I was a massive Wrestle Crap fan at the time, and I think I'd always liked Earthquake, but that humanizing, and I know he wrote R.D. Reynolds' forward for his book, and all of that. And what does he say? He's like, if I'm just remembered as a pretty good heel, then that's enough for me.
Yeah.
Like that humbleness and all that. But like, yeah, he would respond to fans and everything. Like this is a guy who knows he's got like a few months left of life.
He's talking about Battle Cat.
And he's using it, to talk to fans about Golga and stuff. And I don't know, there's something sweet about that too.
Yeah.
Like I think all of this like really meant a lot to him. And I know the daughter's like getting into wrestling now.
Yeah, I did see that recently
on the Kelly Clarkson show. But I think it's like they were like, we don't even like, care. Wrestling was just the thing our dad did, but because he loved it so much.
Yeah,
we love it. And his Al Bundy 4 touchdowns in a single game was in a SummerSlam main event against Hulk Hogan.
yeah. And I mean, I'm pretty sure Hogan got into wrestling through Kelly Clarkson as well. I think
that's what he would tell you.
Yeah,
I mean, Simon Cowell did produce the 1993 WrestleMania album, so there is an American Idol.
There we go. Clarkson it's all connected. All connected.
Yes, it's all connected. But that's it for me. Yeah, Nerd of Mouth. Check it out. And thanks so much for having me, Matt.
I love talking to you, Mike. I've loved you since I've discovered you on Twitter years ago. Like, gosh, at this point, 15 or more years ago. And I just know you love wrestling and Earthquake. And I got to this and I said, well, I need someone funnier and smarter than me.
There's a big wrestling is very beloved in the comedy community.
I've learned that as
there's a lot of fans. It's similar. It's like it's all the road stuff, but they die for different reasons.
Different drugs.
That's it for me.
Thanks, Mike. That land on the high note. I appreciate it, Mike. All right, ChroNoSo, thank you. We'll head on to the going to be disappointing Rude and Warrior main event. Sorry, guys. Thanks.